Hey everyone, my name's Jacob, and here I have a updated video on all of the items that I've put on my 2021 KTM 500 EXC-F. Alright, so starting with the IMS 4.5 gallon fuel tank, I just installed this a few days ago. And let's see. Good walk around. As you can see, I don't love the color. I wish it was a little bit more of a white see-through. So I have the original tank over here for kind of comparison. And I mean, this is tiny. Look at, I can pick it up with one hand, and this is pretty big. It's a safari style tank. The nice thing is that these fairings on the 2021, they will fit it. However, you will need to do some work with a Dremel tool. There are small little plastic fairings that I'll insert a picture. You'll have to use a Dremel tool or a tool like that to remove these plastic fairings that normally would, let's see, they'd normally go in front of here and they'd connect to where the radiator and the horn and all of that is. So just a little bit different as this tank is much larger. I do have the original radiator guards on here. I know everyone updates those, but I think they seem pretty decent, and with this big safari style tank on now, I think I'm going to leave it and I guess hope for the best. These are probably my favorite little thing. They're by Canyon Dancer. They're hooks for the forks. Or you can kind of hook them wherever, I guess. But I usually put this motorcycle on the back of my car. I have a Subaru with a little hitch carrier, and this makes it super simple to hook down on each side here. And they're pretty cheap. I got them off Amazon. I think they're like $8 or something. I did update the headlight. This is actually just a cheap, like a Chinese knockoff I got on eBay, and all of the items that I have on this bike, I'll put links below. The KTM, I mean, I'm sure this comes out of the same factory out of China or Korea or wherever they're made. But this cost, I want to say around $60, but the KTM one, which is pretty much exactly the same as, like, I think it's over 200, which is pretty crazy. I have the giant loop pole here, which is nice to get yourself out of nasty scenarios. I originally bought this wanting to put on the back of my bike as a pole. However, I've ordered some KRIEGA, an OS rackless system for the back. They're all, I think, 18 liters. I have 3 bags coming. But everything with them, our KRIEGA at this time is all back ordered because of COVID. So I'll bring you down here. I did install a new set of sprockets front and rear. I have a 13 on the front, a 52 on the rear, 52 tooth on the rear for single track usage. Then I did get some protection and everything down here. So this setup with the 13 and the 52 tooth on the rear, it's great for really tight single track, some gnarly stuff. If you are going to use this more as an adventure bike, kind of like a lightweight adventure bike, I definitely would just stick with the original gearing. I would like to do the Colorado BDR some point this summer. So I think I'll go switch that gearing around because you really can't get going more than 45 miles an hour with that gearing. Up top here, I have the Fastway handguards. These are probably my favorite handguards on the market right now. I think they're about the most sturdy. They come with that triple clamp in the middle. It's pretty awesome. You will need to tap out your handlebars if you go with these Fastways. I think these are the version 3. I'll do a quick walk around here. The triple clamp as well. I guess my favorite feature, I'd have to say, are my heated grips. The Oxford heated grips. These are pretty much essential if you're riding somewhere cold and wet. I'm riding in Washington State, where it's always cold and wet. So those are amazing. I mean, these get so hot. I wear summer gloves. It can be 20 degrees, 15 degrees out and raining, and you get these things on 100 and they're really cooking. And that's just a simple plug and play system there as well. The mirrors, pretty much a must have as well. The original mirrors that come on the bike are junk. They'll just, and you know, the first rocky kind of rock garden area you go through, they just get knocked loose. These are on ram mounts here. You can kind of knock them around, put them in if you're on a really tight trail. I'll put the link down below for the mirrors. They are pretty expensive, but nothing worse than you know, messing around with your mirrors out when you're trying to have a good time and your mirrors are knocking loose everywhere. The quad lock, this has the extra vibration set on it as well. So a big problem with these type of phone mounts, with these new style iPhones and, you know, whatever smartphone that you have, is that it messes up the camera on your phone. So before I had this, I had just a big RAM mount. I'll show you, I have on my GS in just a moment, but it made the stabilization in the camera go bad. So you turn on your camera and it's just like a big wavy image, which is kind of wild. But the quad locks are pretty awesome. You get this setup, and then you get the case for your phone, and it sits on there really nicely. I like it for my GPS. I use Gaia. Maps Me, there's a bunch of different map options. But I also like the Gaia app as you're climbing up these single track trails or you're out in the middle of nowhere. It's nice to see your elevation and things like that, which is pretty awesome. I got this super beefy Enduro Engineering skid plate here. I know some people like the chintzy plastic plates, or they get the carbon fiber ones for the lightweightness, but honestly, you really can't go wrong with a big beefy skid plate. If you're gonna put anything on your bike that's heavy, I would definitely go with the skid plate. And talking about heavy things, I mean, this is a big fuel tank, and you don't always have to fill it all the way up. That's the biggest thing. This fuel tank, I think, weighs about 2 more pounds than this tiny little, you know, 2.5 gallon fuel tank here. So you don't always have to fill these fuel tanks up. You just put as much gas as you need. But when you really want to get out in the middle of nowhere, the last thing you want to be doing is looking for gas, right? So the Safari tanks are definitely a must have. For a seat, I have a Seat Concepts Comfort XL, and it's awesome. The seat that comes on it, you know you're going to be walking sideways. Very uncomfortable. So this was actually a pretty long back order for the seat as well here, but it'll be worth it. With that KRIEGA rackless system that I have coming, definitely if you're going to go with a rackless system like that, I would put on the heat shield here. I think, what is it? Giant Loop makes a nice one that's pretty cheap, so I may be going that option. I do have a Tusk protection here as well. I did buy, I'm sure you'll see in the previous video I made, some protection for my front disc here, and it actually didn't fit. I went through, you know, made sure on the description and everything that it fit a 2021 KTM 500, and it didn't. So I'll probably be going with an Enduro Engineering nice disc protector for the front, because you definitely don't want to be banging up a disc out in the country. So just a quick walk around here, and when I get that KRIEGA, however you want to pronounce it, rackless luggage system, I'll give you an updated video. So at this time, let's see, I've been riding quite a bit before we had our big snowstorm here in the Seattle area. Let's see if this works. I'll be doing an oil change today. Yeah, about 328 miles I have on the bike, so no oil change today. I was looking at the coolant, and it looked like they just put water in instead of, you know, the proper coolant. There's no blue tint to it, pretty much just looks like water. So I think I'll probably change that today as well, and go riding out in Mattawa this weekend, and I hope that everyone has a great week. And hopefully I'll be coming out with some videos soon after I get a GoPro so I can actually take you guys out on the trails with me.